You have to stop it.
We're not stopping anything, Shaw. We're going home.
Yannick, if you don't stop it, it won't be your home to go back to. It's carrying death, and it's headed for Earth.
Sure, this is not a warship.
I know.
Let's go.
I know that. But you must do it.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Frankenstein's podcast, where it's all about the monster. We're a creature feature podcast about monsters and why we love them. I'm one of your hosts, Joe Praska, and with me is...
your other host, Khalid Hussein.
What's up, Khalid?
What up, Joe?
Welcome back to XENOMANIA Part 5.
I've never felt someone count before more than that.
Was it palpable?
Yeah, like I could feel you in your head going, okay, that was the first one.
If it helps, I thought of there's already been 4 and this is one more. So I did 4 plus 1 instead of individually counting. So
a lot of people are against pauses in podcasts, but I think sometimes a pause can be very loaded. That was a loaded pause in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm keeping it in. Sometimes if we pause awkwardly, I'll edit it out, Khalid, but I'm keeping that one in.
No, you better keep it in. I didn't know that was even up for debate.
Yeah. So how are you doing?
I'm doing good. Pretty good actually. Yeah. Yesterday I went to Malibu for the day and that was really cool. Got some food and then walked around and got to check out the Malibu Pier, which I didn't even know they had one. Makes sense though. They have water there. They should have a pier to look over said water.
Yeah, that's how those things work.
Yeah, exactly. So ipso facto went on that pier. That was cool. Got to see a bunch of people fishing. Somebody caught a little baby stingray though, and that kind of bummed me out.
Oh,
yeah. It's real in these streets. But yeah, it was just a fun little California day for me. It's always nice when I get to take advantage of the setting I'm in. What about you? What's new with you? What's the haps?
Well, things are not cool, I would say, literally, because our AC went out recently or has not been working very well. And that really sucks.
Womp womp.
Yeah. And I know it's a privileged thing to say not everyone has AC, but when I had it and then it goes away, I'm kind of extra mad about it.
Oh, do you want your children not to be in sweltering hot conditions, Your Highness? Who do you think's going to come for you?
Kind of.
Are you worried about people being you're such a privileged person for wanting AC during a sweltering Midwest summer?
Kind of. I don't know. It got pretty hot today. It got pretty hot.
That's fair. You can't handle any more heat. So
no. I mean,
so
we're not built for it.
You're preemptively avoiding any other heat.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So that sucks. But
I see it.
Yeah. Otherwise, things are good.
Yeah.
Yeah, otherwise things are good. Got an announcement for the listeners here. A couple announcements, in a sense. Some exciting updates. We made a website. So if you want to check out, go to www.frankensteinspodcast.com. And you can check out all our episodes are there, little descriptions, and also has a link to what I'm almost even more excited about, our Patreon page. We started a Patreon after 68 episodes now? We finally started one.
Oh, it would have been cooler.
What?
If we did it after 69 episodes.
Oh, man, we should have.
Yeah, that was just sitting right there, dude. You could have waited one more.
It was right there. You're right. It's okay. It's already in the air now, so
fair enough.
Go with it. But got Patreon. Not much going on there, but we're hoping to think of some ideas to make it cool. There's only one level of subscribing at this point, just $1, and it's just a thank you. So we'll get some stuff up there though. It'll be cool eventually. But you can check that out if you've stuck with us from the beginning, or you're a new fan and enjoying what you listen to and just want to help us out because found out websites cost money. Khalid,
it's $1, you guys. It's $1. Just the next time you're at CVS and they try to guilt you with that tip $1 to this obscure charity, be like, no, I already did my part. I'm a Frankenstein. and walk away. Don't tip it. Tip us.
Yeah.
In all honesty, I think I read that a lot of those are scams that the corporations run. So you
Uh-huh.
know, realistically speaking, if you do donate to that and then you decide to donate to us, like I can promise you, we are not in cahoots with Walgreens.
We are not. We are not. Can confirm.
CVS, on the other hand,
Uh,
we might be. We'll talk to our lawyers.
it's a big TBD on that one.
TBD on CVS.
uh,
Anyway, sorry to derail that. I think the point of what we were trying to say is please donate if you enjoy banter such as that and any other things that me and Joe might offer you with our fun little show.
yeah, it could be fun. Links will be in the show notes, and I'll put in the website, of course. Khalid, I'm going to tip our hand right away. We're talking about Prometheus today. I know you usually say it, but I just wanted to ask you before we dig into the movie and you get the synopsis going. Do you know the Prometheus Greek myth?
Yes, I do, but now that you're asking me, and I feel the fact that we're recording more than any other time, I'm gonna not try to just pitch it to you.
All right. Well, fair enough. Well, Prometheus stole fire from the gods and delivered it to humans.
See, I knew that. I knew that, and I didn't.
Okay.
Now
sure.
people are gonna feel like I didn't know that, and I can't take it. You know what? Sorry, keep going.
Sure, Khalid. We all believe that you know it. We all believe it. Anyway, as punishment, Zeus condemned him to eternal suffering, where he was bound to a rock, and then an eagle would continuously eat his liver, which would then grow back, and then an eagle would come back and eat his liver again. So that was kind of his suffering. Anyway, I wanted to explain all that to you, Khalid, just to ask you, what's the best part of a Prometheus joke?
What?
The delivery.
Because you had to tell us the liver thing for that to even make a lick of sense.
Uh-huh. That's pretty good, wasn't it?
Yeah, anytime you have to do a whole museum style blurb of trivia for a subject before doing the awkward wordplay, that's a good sign of a joke.
It's usually a bonus, it's added content, so it's a bonus of the joke, so it's a good thing.
No, yeah, what I like with all of my jokes are homework, so thank you for that.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah. Anyway, Khalid, what are we talking about today? It's a good segue.
No, it's not, because I'm boomeranging back real quick. The problem with why I didn't know the Prometheus thing confidently is that it's so close to the Sisyphus myth. You know?
Oh, sure. Yeah.
And it's
okay, sure.
With the Sisyphus thing, it's he has to push the boulder, and then with Prometheus, he's chained to a boulder. It's all I'm saying is I knew 85% of it, and I wish I could turn back time.
I feel like you're just digging hard to find what do I know about boulders and Greek myths? Let's say I was thinking about that one instead.
No. I promise you that's the extent of my boulder knowledge when it comes to Greek myth. It's those two things, and they're too close.
Okay, fair. Khalid, you know what? We all of us believe that you knew it. We all totally believe it.
God. Okay, whatever. Moving on. Joe, thanks for asking earlier. Today we're talking about the 2012 sci-fi horror film Prometheus, directed by Ridley Scott. And I've got a synopsis from our homeboy Google that goes a little something like this. The discovery of a clue to mankind's origins on Earth leads a team of explorers to the darkest parts of the universe. Two brilliant young scientists lead the expedition. Shaw hopes that they will meet a race of benevolent, godlike beings who will in some way verify her righteous beliefs, while Holloway is out to debunk any spiritual notions. However, neither the scientists nor their shipmates are prepared for the unimaginable terrors that await them.
What a monster!
They're creatures of the abstract that live off potential energy.
It's alive!
Thank you, Khalid. I kind of have a gripe with their characterization of both of them as brilliant young scientists, but we'll go into that later. Khalid, before we dig into the movie itself, I wanted to say that this is kind of a special episode. Do you remember why?
I do, yes.
Okay, good. Just making sure you're on the same page as me. So, for listeners, Khalid and I are going to be chatting about the movie for a little bit here, but then stick around when we're done, and we have a very special interview for you guys. We got a chance to interview Ian Whyte, who is the creature actor who portrayed the engineer in the end of the film. He also was the Predator in both AVP movies. He's played a bunch of different characters. We get to talk about all those things. So this might be a little bit of a shorter conversation than most, but stick around for that. It's a really cool interview, and we dig into some of his other character roles too, and of course dig into Prometheus. So it's a whole lot of fun.
Spoiler alert, he is a delightful gentleman.
He's incredibly delightful. Yeah.
Yeah, I just had to go ahead and spoil that for folks who might want to know what they're getting into. But it's a great interview.
Or if they're wondering if he's like the engineer in real life, where he wants to like murder us all, he does not.
He might. It was only a 30-minute conversation.
Fair. I guess we don't know that much. He just doesn't seem like he does. He seems like a nice gent.
I'm just saying that kind of naivete is what gets a giant engineer monster to rip your head off in the first place.
Fair. And on that point, Khalid, what'd you think of this movie?
Ooh, boy. This is the movie in the Alien franchise that I'm most familiar with for whatever random reason. As I've said before in other podcasts, I've watched Prometheus when it came out, probably in theaters, just around, or at least the timing of its release makes me think I saw it in theaters. And then I've seen it maybe one other time in the year since. And then I ended up, for a bunch of different reasons, watching it twice for the podcast. So I've seen this movie a lot. And I gotta say, this last time really just solidified it as like, it might be my favorite in the series.
Wow.
Yeah, I know you weren't expecting me to say that, but like,
No.
it's just like such an amazing movie that works on so many different levels, and there's so much to appreciate about it. And that's even before you get to the just 10 out of 10 third act. You know what I mean? Like, it's not even just that like a bunch of stuff gets paid off in that third act. It's that like entire new like plot lines are being created and like directions are being taken. And it's like entirely new information being brought to you in this like already jam-packed, action-packed like moment. Like, man, like I think I'm officially Ridley pilled, as the kids would say. This did it for me. Like, I've always heard the hype about Ridley Scott. I've been a fan of his stuff in the past. I've always like had like an appreciation for it, but man, like after watching the Alien franchise up till now, seeing what he spawned with like such an amazing vision with the first movie, and seeing him revisit that vision and like really elaborate on it in such a beautiful and like impressive way, like he did with this, like, oh, I mean, I could go on, but like I will, as is the point of this, but I will stop for now at just saying like, man, like this movie rules. I'm so excited to get into the details of it, but like, yes, it is officially my favorite in the series, unless somehow the Alien versus Predator movies just like are just like designed in a lab specifically for my enjoyment. That is the only way I could see my rankings changing much.
They might be.
But yeah, Joe, that's my first reaction. What about you?
I'm surprised, but I'm not in disagreement. It's not my favorite of this franchise, but I think I really like it. I haven't seen this movie at this point since 2012 when it came out in theaters, and I went to see it. I remember really enjoying it when I saw it in the theater, but I remember like that enjoyment deflating a bit, just given like, you know, discourse from it just being nitpicked to death, just every little piece. Like people just had all these complaints and problems with it, and then I mean, my life, I've then come to realize that's just what fandom looks like sometimes. But I think that had colored my judgment to the movie for a while. Like I was like, oh yeah, I guess it's a bad movie. But rewatching it now, I'm like, I think it's really good. Like there are some flaws to it, and we'll get into some like complaints that I have. But it's such, oh my god, this and Covenant, which I've seen more recently too, are so beautiful. Like they're so interesting, like thematically rich, like beautifully shot, beautifully like textured, really well thought out overall, and just like in terms of like a huge budget like blockbuster kind of sci-fi film. I know they're rated R, but like they're just unique. Like it's not like anything else. And I think that's, even if you don't like the movie, like you got to give it credit for doing those kinds of things. Like it's a feast. Like it's a marvel to look at. So I really enjoyed it. I really enjoy the themes that it's trying to explore. I think that I appreciate what Ridley was going for in trying to explain a different element of the alien universe. I know he kind of had to tie it back into like the like original more narratives with Covenant. And I think that this was like Ridley like unbound, like really going like, here's what I want to like look at. And I think that vision is very fascinating. I think it's interesting to pick apart, and there's a lot to dig into there for sure.
110% everything you said. I hard agree, which half of it was just you agreeing with me, but
Yeah.
even so, like that's how much I'm on board with you with this. Like this one was just such a fun ride. I'm very interested to hear what criticisms you bring to it, because as I mentioned earlier, I am Ridley pilled now. So
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
I couldn't say, maybe you can like remind me, because like it's just like I'm in the zone of like singing praises.
So I have I actually have a lot of stuff on here. I don't know if I get to all my notes here on this, but I guess I'll just get into a few things that I like, coming from more of a standpoint of having watched the Alien films, coming here, having not seen it in a while. I remember like a feeling coming out the first time I'd seen this, where thinking like Charlize Theron was like kind of a villain, like an antagonist character, and she kind of is, like she's Wayland's daughter and all that. But I feel like this time I came away really empathizing with her a whole lot more, which I thought was interesting. I found the two scientists, so Shaw and Holloway, at least in the first half, to be a lot less likable than I remembered them to be. Like they're very fundamentalist. Like the line where she's like, it's an invitation or whatever. Like I hated that line. But it's good. Like it's there to illustrate like where she's at as a character. Like she gets put through the ringer, and I think ultimately comes out as a really strong character at the end because of it all. And she goes through shit. Holloway,
does she?
Yeah. Holloway, on the other hand, like the other guy, like sucks. I hated him so much. He's such a dick. Like
they cast the perfect guy. I love him whenever he shows up and stuff, because like he can do some like really hateable stuff and pull it off.
Right. Like, yeah, no disrespect to the actor at all. Like, in fact, testament to him. But like, oh man,
credit to him. When the jig was up,
yeah,
he did what a lot of people in the Alien franchise just refused to do.
And
I wanted to bring that up. Like this movie is big on a lot of people that stepped up. We don't see that a lot in movies, and I think there's a certain cynicism to it that like I really like that this movie kind of pushed back on. And that's also another thing, is like this was the rewatch that really turned it for me, and like I realized, probably because I was so much more attuned to the music, the score is like really inspirational in this movie.
The score is super good. Like I really love them. There's actually a fact I got the music. So Mark Streitenfeld was the composer. He actually had the orchestra play the compositions backward and then digitally reverse the compositions for the final film, because he wanted it to sound unusual, right?
Yeah.
Which he kind of like, there's an inspirational element to it, but it does feel a little unsettling at times. And I think that like fits with the vibe of the movie overall.
Well, it like borderline felt like Jurassic Park, which I think is like a smart move in their part, like to draw that illusion. You know what I mean? Like there's so many parallels there about this idea of like the ethics of how far you can go with science, and the hubris of thinking you have control over a situation that is uncontrollable. Like there's so many parallels there that like hearing that like swelling inspirational like score as like you're watching these people in like what is at this point like the 8th, 9th movie in a franchise that like kind of lets you know everybody, oh, are you a scientist? Are you on a spaceship? You're dead. Like it rejects all of the stuff you would assume with that, and it still like gives you something to like kind of like feel for it and really like go in those moments. And so like those sacrificial parts feel earned, they feel real, they feel like great. And I think that's the thing, is like watching this kind of on the heels of Alien Resurrection really showed me like why Ridley Scott's kind of like in a like league of his own, you know, like it's really hard. And it's like, no disrespect to like French director guy and Joss Whedon, like they had a distinct vision and they went for it, like all intents and purposes. We set our piece on that. But like coming off the heels of that, watching this, man, like this is like, that to me feels like I'm watching like somebody who like is a fan of like genre, is a fan of like comics or like stuff like that, is a fan of those things. I'm watching him like kind of like, it felt like alien fan fiction, for lack of a better word. And this,
Resurrection definitely does. Like, it feels so removed from everything.
Exactly. Like, it feels like almost like what you wish the characters would do because you love them so much. And it's like, okay, but like, that's not what you loved about them. Anyways, this feels like, I mean, and the fact that it is in a lot of ways its own thing, the fact that it is like kind of like one step removed from the Alien franchise in its own way, like I love it. That's like such a baller extra step to like kind of like half in and half out it and still turn out such a like moving piece of cinema, which is like the point I'm trying to get to here is like when you're just a fan of something, like a lot of times you'll just get like the spectacle and like you can get the spectacle down, but it's like that stuff that like really makes you like sink your teeth, like the things that like make you like proud to be a nerd, like that's where like guys like Ridley Scott come in and really like show you like why being a fan is like worthwhile. Cause then you get like a whole like second, third act that's just like back to back to back, like mind-blowing, like iconic Hall of Fame sci-fi horror imagery.
Yeah. No, couldn't say it better myself.
Sorry, I went off on a little bit of a rant there.
No, you're good. You're good. I mean, that's what podcasts are for, right?
Yeah, sorry. I just, man, it was just so fun to go over this one again with like the context of, okay, let me just ask you, like, what do you think about like, because, you know, we've seen it a few times now just because reboot culture is the way it is, you know, where like you get the creator who made the thing big in whatever decade to come back and like it's uneven results usually. Obviously, I think we're on the same page that this is successful, but like,
yeah.
Do you want to like explain why for you it was a success? Like seeing like Ridley kind of revisit this thing that he already kind of spoke with, but like now he's got all the money and like all the technology to like really do it and like what that says and what that like, I guess I'm asking like, how does it hold up with like Alien to you?
That's a good question. I think a big part of what works for me is the horror of it, honestly. Like I'm a noted sci-fi fan. I'm a noted horror fan. When those two intersect, it could be not great. It could be awesome. And I think that Ridley does know this like really specific like formula to make that work so well. Like the buildup of this like you said, this kind of optimistic, hopeful music and this hopeful idea of like, oh, I believe it to be true. Like these kind of attitudes, which like, again, like I found like annoying in the beginning, it just serves everyone up to fall so much harder, you know, like that like horror of it, like the idea of the hubris, like we feel like we mean something to these engineers that created us, but we mean nothing to them, is a truly terrifying concept that's actually interrogated really, really well in the movie, like literally swatted away like flies, you know, like.
I mean, but that's the whole thing is like, it's this idea of like the parents are always narcissistic to the child and like they ignore their needs. And it's such a fascinating thing that they just like, and he doesn't hammer it in. Like, it doesn't feel like belabored to me. I don't know. People could push back on it. Maybe it's like, I'm just like got rose colored glasses from my last watch. But like, yeah. I feel like when I'm watching it, like I clearly understand what he's trying to say without it feeling like it's being preached to me. It's just very like, and it's like, we live in a very technologically privileged life right now, you know, and like we have so many things at our disposal. Our phones have the computational like ability to do so many amazing things, and like most of us like abuse it, like we in a lot of cases resent it, and we don't use it to like further our potential the way we could. And it's like we all have Alexas and shit like that, and what do? We like teach our kids to like add stuff to grocery lists. Like we're not revolutionizing anything with these like devices. We just take them for granted and like imply that everything's like a burden, as opposed to like we are capable of miracles. No, it's all about us and like what our past says about us, and looking backwards and looking literally any other direction than like progress.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think, and maybe I'm wrong, or maybe I'm just like noticing, like, I feel like one thing that maybe I think that the original has down slightly better than this is I think that both the original and the Prometheus and Covenant to some extent, because they're so intertwined, bring the horror and have strong themes. Both of those are true, right? I would say that I think that the originals intertwine story and theme in just such a more like seamless way, where I would say I think you can make the argument that in this movie theme might be more important than story at time. And I think that can be a small criticism. And that's what I think some people get frustrated with when certain people make bad decisions. That's in service to that hubris theme, but like, you could pick apart that a little bit, I think. And I feel like that could be one way where you could maybe say that there's a flaw there. You know what I'm saying?
No, yeah, and I'm fully willing to cop to making Prometheus my number one ranked in the Alien franchise is not a popular take. I accept that, but I to the haters I say which one had the hotter cast, like I'm just saying, we got Charlize doing push-ups, and then we got what is it, friggin' Bilbo Baggins just like drinking milk in the corner. Like, I don't know, man. I don't think we want to toe for toe that cast.
Yeah. Fair point. But I think I didn't know if I finished my point earlier about like Charlize. Like she's meant to be an antagonist, but I kind of agreed with a lot of her decisions that she was making. Like she was annoyed with her father. I mean, the keeping the secret thing sucked, but like she was instantly like, no, flamethrow this guy. He can't come on the ship. And like I feel like people were like, no, like we can do that. Like, she's 100% right there. Like
everything she was saying was right when they were like trying to push back on like when she was like, oh yeah, we're gonna take over everything with like findings here, and they were like, and it's like, oh, I'm sorry, did you spend $11 trillion to get to this planet? Like, yes, that is such a great like put down. Shut up. Like, you just got a free ticket across the universe. Calm down.
And she's like a skeptic, like, which is fair. I think 100% fair to be a skeptic. Like it's, like
I don't think it's fair to be a skeptic, and I'll tell you why. It's because, and with all the headlines coming out with like the guys in the submarine and stuff like that, and like foolhardy voyages and stuff like that, I just think that like you better be more than 50% sure that like you're gonna find something if you're going to go 3.27 times 10 to the 14th power kilometers away from the Earth.
But counterpoint, nobody else knew why they were there.
That's also insane to me. I don't know if that's a counterpoint. Like that's also, if anything, that's a sub point for me. Point, don't go into a space coma and just let them take you wherever and then give you the orientation when you're there. Like, what are you going to say? No, just get thrown into a coma and just wake up at the next job? Is that how jobs work in the future?
So here's the thing. Okay, this is what I think people picked apart with Prometheus was like a storytelling device called like the idiot plot, right? Where characters have to make stupid decisions to make the plot move forward, right? That's in every movie, really, but like in some movies, it's more than others. And a lot of people,
deniability is also another name for it.
Yeah, that's probably a nicer way to say it. But a lot of people pick this movie apart, saying that that's a huge thing, like the scientists don't act like scientists, or making bad decisions, taking their helmets off, even though it was like fine. That ultimately turned out to be a fine decision. Like I think that's an interesting criticism, and I think it's fair to some extent. But I think that you also have to ask yourself, like, go back to Alien and what the company is asking, what the company makes their employees do, right? Like they don't really have a choice in a lot of these things. And I think ostensibly all these characters, except for maybe Shaw and Holloway, are company scientists. Like they are employed by Wayland at this time, not Weyland-Yutani. And they're like, this is our job. We got to go on this thing, right? They're going to, and even if they're bad scientists, like think about like a corporate scientist for an oil company right now is going to say and do dumb shit because that's their job. Like probably not the top of the line there sometimes, like I think that's a fair like point to make. And again, like I combed through like forums a little bit to try to find criticisms to see like what people had talked about.
I just
and
want to say this was not a criticism on my part. This was very much like that's why I brought up the submarine. Like we have real world examples of people doing dumber things than
right. I was going to say, like,
in this movie.
I feel like that element is actually getting more and more realistic. Like
it's always been realistic.
True. You're right.
Those people died on the way down to Titanic, a ship whose captain said was like, oh, God himself couldn't sink it.
You're right. You're right. Both. Yeah. You were absolutely right. And I think another element of that too, like we've seen billionaires just finance like space stuff a lot. Like that's going to happen like for thinner reasons than this, you know?
If you don't think Jeff Bezos is going to have a bunch of like Amazon employees sign a contract saying that he can do whatever to them in space, like for exchange for a seat, like if you don't think that's coming.
No, I think you're right. I mean, I feel like the few other like critiques I'd seen was like the biologist guy, like being so interested in touching that like snake creature.
That shit was so funny though.
It was
like,
a very funny scene, yeah.
I don't know. And for me, it's like, again, it's like suspension of disbelief, you know, like you want a movie to happen a certain way. And like, that's the thing is like Ridley Scott knows how to make movie moments happen, you know, like that, like whimsy and stuff like that. It's like, first of all, that's the first time you see an alien. And like, you think just based on like your dumb history of like snakes or other animals that it's like most likely harmless, but at least like not like the most like lethal thing. Nothing in your mind could prepare you for what that creature was going to do. You know what I mean? Like, it would have been an overreaction to act like that before the monster had acted. So I don't even get mad at stuff like that. And I don't know. It's like, sure, these are all criticisms that I can find valid in one way or another. Like, it can kind of bug you if you allow it to. But I just feel like, one, real life is so much stranger than fiction nowadays that it's really hard for me to like fault any movie for just like kind of cutting a corner here or there to get us to the good stuff. But I don't know, more than that, man, it's just like when it's executed this well, like how do you not forgive it?
I'm on your side with it. Like, honestly, like I'm having a lot of fun watching this movie. Like it's intense and good and a good watch. Like, I mean, that scene, like even he was being an idiot, like led to a pretty like great, you know,
oh my God,
effect death scene, right? That was intense.
So many cool moments with the arm, like he's breaking my arm. Like that reminded me of Talladega Nights. When Sacha Baron Cohen's got his arm, he's like, just say you like crepes. And he's like, I won't break your arm if you say you like crepes.
Nope, break it. Just break it. Oh wow.
So no, that was amazing. And then the acid blood when it like
that was great
through the guy's helmet and melts his face and he dies that way. And it's and I feel like it just gets back to the basics of what's great about the Alien. It's like, you don't need the bells and whistles. It doesn't need to be like 60 feet tall. It doesn't need to be half Sigourney Weaver. Like, it's just, you put too many bells and whistles on this thing, and it's just like, what are we doing here? You know? And this movie really just like flies in the face of that, goes back to the basics and shows you exactly what we loved about it in the first movie by like making the weakest version of it still the most terrifying thing you've ever seen. Cause like I really love how they seed that with like the idea of like this like liquid basically being like, I don't even know what that is. It's like the atom bomb equivalent of like a germ warfare. Like one drop of that thing can like alter the DNA of everything ever, I guess. I don't know how you make that in a lab, but please don't. So then, that thing gets into the ground, and then like the worms that are native to that planet, which is like already like probably still a big deal. Those are aliens. Those aliens that they never even got to meet, like get freaking symbioted into giant aliens, worm things. And I love the world building. It's so intricate and thought out in this. Sorry. What do you think?
I do think sometimes. I think that's a good point to like kind of talk about some of the like at this point in a franchise, like there is a strong canon, and like this makes a lot of canon implications, like you're saying, for world building. Like we learn a lot about like the space jockey engineer, how it's intricately connected to humanity and the aliens, whereas like in the original you could imply that was all random chance. The black goo bioweapon, which I think is gets a name. It's chemical like AO3959X.91-15. In EU stuff like extended universe stuff, it's also just called the mutagenic pathogen. That's all like interesting stuff. I think the black goo. I feel like I've seen people online like kind of treat it almost like the midi-chlorians thing, where it's like, oh, you're giving this like explanation thing. But I like the black goo, and I think that I'm reading some of the books now, like, and they've taken that concept and like really dug deeper into it, and like and showing what it can do, and like it's a really interesting like element to the world and to the universe. I think it can, like you said, like it takes like gives us like creatures that may not be quite the xenomorph, that may be weaker, but they're still terrifying, and it actually helps build back up the xenomorph in a way that I think, like you're pointing out in Resurrection, it was torn down a little bit in a sense.
Well, I love it because it's kind of just like doing what the rest of the movie is doing, where it's like it's all such a commentary on prequel culture too. This idea of like, oh yeah, you want to keep looking back, you want to keep asking like, oh yeah, like what did Batman's dad do for a living? Like what did Batman's butler do before he was Batman? Like, you know what I mean? Like we keep asking these questions, and like really Scott's like, okay, yeah, what came before the alien? Goo. Like it's like super goo. Like, what are you talking about? Like, and it's just like, I love it because it's like simultaneously flippant, but also like in world makes so much sense.
It works. I mean, and they do cool stuff with it. Like the mutations are interesting. I like that David's trying to, like, we see the seeds of David's story, like where he's going, like Holloway's such an ass to him. I'm like, almost don't feel bad that he got infected with the thing, but like, yeah, David, like choosing to infect Holloway with the black goo. I thought that was I feel like when I first saw this, I was kind of like, why did he do that? Other than just the fact that he was a dick to him. I think it worked pretty well because,
I think if Holloway saw him do that to anybody else, he would be okay with it.
Kinda.
He was that faithful to it.
But there was the line that Holloway had was like, or like David's like, why did your people create my androids, my race? He's like, because we could, or whatever, like this flippant like asshole response. And I feel like
David's response, do you have that down?
Yeah. He was like, how would you feel if you met your makers or whatever? And their response was that, which it basically is.
Well, he says it. Can you imagine how disappointing it would be to hear that from your creator?
Yeah, that's such a good line. And I feel like right then, like, is all the confirmation he needed to just do that to him, like, because he could, right? Why not? Yeah. I think that like thematically, like that tie there together just was actually really well done.
Well, I don't know. I feel like, and it's just like so great because like you can take the whole like message of the movie, especially with the ending and like how the engineer like basically like kills everybody that like like their entire life's work was like proving he exists and like hoping it would validate them in some way, and like the way he treats them, and the fact that like by the end of it, like the hero shot is the xenomorph. You know what I mean? It's the one creature amongst all of them that doesn't have like daddy or mommy issues. My daddy is goo. My mommy is goo.
Goo.
I am a super weapon, and all I can do is like think of ways to kill you, and that's what I'm going to do. Like that's what makes like, and it's like, is everything about humanity that like simultaneously makes us great also like our biggest liability?
Yeah.
You know, like our like the thing that like makes us sentimental and makes us feel like we have any kind of like relationship to the universe that we need to interrogate.
Damn, Khalid, you're really on it this episode.
I think that's the trick, is I need to watch a movie 4 times over 10 years.
Yeah, and then you're just
I
like,
can discuss it.
You're in it. You're in it. Yeah.
I don't know, man. Again, like I'm Ridley pilled. Like this is what like like I'm sorry, but like that Bruce Willis movie we saw is not gonna get me talking like this.
Maybe if you watched it 3 more times, if you went back to it, I don't know.
I'm calling my shot like Babe Ruth and saying that that's never gonna be the case.
Shout out to our Breach episode. Go back and listen to that one, everybody.
Or don't take my word for it.
I also want to talk about just in terms of like canon implications. So like the moon that they're on, LV-223, was supposed to be one of the 3 moons from around this system, this gas giant Kalpamos. LV-426 was one of the other moons. I think in other canon material they've said that it's like there's 3 moons there, so it's close to where the first alien takes place. supposed to be a bioweapon construction site for the engineers. We also meet Peter Wayland in this movie. That is an interesting element to it. The makeup process, Guy Pearce, it apparently took 5 hours every day, an hour to remove it. But what do you think of Guy Pearce having to do like old man makeup?
I liked it, but I'm a much bigger fan of his previous work advertising for the Midwest amusement park chain Six Flags.
Okay.
Dun, 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 dun. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
No, it was. I really, really like Waylon as a character. I think that Guy Pearce was a weird choice. I say just like get Christopher Plummer at that point.
Yes,
Like,
that's what I said, Khalid.
I don't know. It's like you're gonna like spend this much money like putting Christopher Plummer makeup on an actor. Just get Christopher Plummer. You know?
Yeah, Christopher Plummer would have been great in the role too.
I think it was like fun for Guy Pearce. I can't say that as an audience member. Like I got this. Like sometimes an actor's having more fun than the audience. You know?
Yeah. Well, he did like supplemental materials where he's like young Wayland, and he has a scene in Covenant as well where he's young Wayland.
You just
so
cast a young actor. I don't know what to tell you.
It's a choice. It's an interesting choice that they went through
honestly,
all that.
Technology has gotten to the point where de-aging looks realer than aging makeup now.
Kind of does, yeah. And
Yeah.
I don't think that was true at the time, though.
Fair.
Yeah.
Anyways, I liked him, Peter Wayland, as a character and what he does for the story. And I think it was a great idea to take this thing that in the franchise up until now has just been this like abstract, uncaring evil and like oppressive force, and just making it a person, making it a Mr. Burns ass piece of shit old dude who, you know, like, I don't know if any listeners out there can relate to like this idea of like a whole generation of people that just like refuse to die or like cede power and like will slowly go into dementia and like take us all down with them. But that really resonated with me this time. And I was in the same way that you said you were on Charlize's side. I'm on Charlize's side. Like, move. You did it, man. You have it. If you have enough money to fund a cross galaxy expedition, you made it as far as I'm concerned. Like, step aside, let somebody else take a crack at it. And I love that they created that as a character and like a point of tension for everybody. And it's like, he works so well in that way that he is not even in the movie for most of it. And there's still a tension from it. And it's such a cool little piece of sci-fi how they keep him involved and how they keep that tension, especially with Charlize and Fassbender's character, where somehow androids can communicate to you via dream. I don't know if that's ever been like canon in the Alien universe, but if not, like that is such a fantastic, like cool little detail to add.
Yeah. Side note: Did you realize Shaw's dad was Patrick Wilson?
Yeah, I did. That was like, with her dream and like the malaria or whatever. Yeah,
that surprised me.
That did surprise me too, but like not like what? You know, it's Patrick Wilson. Like he shows up sometimes.
He just does that. Yeah, and I guess he's bigger now than he was then too. But
it's not like it was like Brad Pitt or something. Like,
it could have been.
Yeah, like that kind of information gets like a from me.
Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah.
Okay. So I wanted to talk a little bit before we move on to some themes and then the monster of it all. There was the script for this went through a lot of rewrites, and so there was like a kind of an entirely different movie that was almost made before this came to be. So the writer John Spates, I believe, is still credited on here, but he wrote the original draft, which would have been titled Alien Engineers, which I'm going to say I like Prometheus as a name, but I kind of feel weird a little bit about how like all the films like Alien, Aliens, Alien 3, the naming conventions of the whole film series doesn't make any sense to me, right? Fine. I don't care. But it's kind of like my problem with like the 2009 Star Trek reboot, which wasn't a reboot. It was still like in continuity, right? But it's just called Star Trek by itself. Where it should be like a Star Trek 11 or given like a subtitle. Like naming conventions, it bothers me a little bit that like we went Alien Resurrection, just Prometheus by itself, then Alien Covenant. They're just like, I don't know. That means nothing. It's super trivial, but like I almost kind of wish it had the Alien subtitle. And I'm just going to say that. That's all I want to say about that.
Do you know the naming convention of the Fast and Furious movies?
Yep, and I don't want to talk about it.
I was gonna say, man, if this bugs you.
Nope.
I don't know. I can't speak to this movie and why the names are like that for this, but I do know in the Fast movies case, it's a rights thing where like one of the guys who made the very first Fast and Furious movie, like part of one of his deals was like, I get a huge cut out of any movies called Fast and Furious 2, 3, blah blah blah. Like, so that's why like from the second one on, they're nonsensical titles.
Well, yep. Still hate it.
And
Still hate it.
And you suffer. That's
Yeah.
the takeaway.
That's the takeaway. Anyway, in the original Alien Engineers script, the ship would have been called the Magellan, and they would have been going to LV-426, so where the original Alien takes place. There were some plots that were similar. Like there were the idea of examining the engineer head would have been a kind of a larger plot.
That's so cool.
That was super cool. The Fifield and Milburn characters would have still gotten lost in the structure and attacked. But in this draft, Charlize Theron's character Vickers would have been leading the team for the company to get alien tech. Like that would have been the ulterior motive there. And Holloway would have wandered around kind of like an idiot and gotten infected by a face hugger. And he was supposed to eventually have a chest burster and birth an alien creature that kind of, I think, the set behind the scenes, they nicknamed the beluga alien because it kind of looked like a beluga whale head. And that design, you can like Google it. It actually was repurposed in some ways for what we get as the neomorphs later in Alien Covenant. Though they're smaller versions of it, but kind of that like white, almost like goblin shark-esque thing was kind of what this alien would have looked like in that original script. So some differences. I thought that was kind of interesting.
I mean, there's a world I can see like a direct like prequel to Alien and like them going to the homeworld and all that stuff. Like I can see that being more satisfying for viewers just to like kind of marry it. But like I love this like messy like semi-canonization that Prometheus has.
Yeah, I'm kind of okay with it not being the same place as the original movie. Like I like the implication that there is other spots where things are happening.
Yeah, and a lot of crazy stuff goes down.
Exactly.
One regret is that like there's just never a scenario where Ripley and Charlize's character get to interact.
That would be cool.
They were like they would have been perfect. Like they would have played off each other so well.
I mean, they established cloning, so I guess anything's possible.
Oh man, Charlize clone and Ripley clone just arguing over who's got authority. I'd watch it.
I would too.
Yeah.
I mean, well, of course we would. There is kind of a cool like aside extended universe thing. There's a big follow-up like comic book crossover that like Dark Horse Comics made after Prometheus came out prior to Covenant. So I think that maybe it's like it's not like it's harder to justify canon. I don't know. I haven't read it yet, but I want to. But there's a series called Fire and Stone, and that's followed by Life and Death. And there was this big crossover with like 4 issues that were like Prometheus subtitled, 4 issues that were Alien subtitles, 4 that were Predator subtitled, and 4 that were like Alien versus Predator subtitled. And they all like came together to form like one big story that was kind of basically just meant to follow up like the threads that Prometheus was exploring and bring in Predator with it too. And I thought I'm intrigued to see like how that was done. I don't know what the reviews were, but I did Google the comics and like the collected editions are like $300, so they're definitely out of print.
Whoa.
Yeah, so I wonder if it's like a digital version you can get.
Hopefully,
but I thought it was interesting to note that that's kind of like another follow up to Prometheus. Anyway, themes of the movie that I think stood out a lot. Like we had definitely like Greek mythology, allegories, religion, faith, the intersection of science, religion, the relationship to our gods, our creators, mortality, of course, creation is corporate financing, billionaire financing space mission out of vanity kind of stuff. What theme do you think, Khalid, was the most prominent or for you, the most important for you that you pull from this?
The most prominent theme that I pull from this movie. I guess faith is probably the thing that they like really hammer in, and like what like faith can inspire you to do, but can also kind of limit you from achieving, you know? Yeah, I guess, yeah, the strengths and limitations of faith. And I think it's a very worthwhile thing to talk about. Like I'm always down for it. Like I love Kevin Smith's Dogma, even though it's an imperfect film, just because like ruminations on faith are never not fascinating to me. And it's like, you think about the world and it's like, how much of it you can directly point to where like faith was the reason that something horrible happened, and just as many things where something beautiful came of it, you know, like so many like tributes to like faith in the world that like exist because of it. And you know, it's hard not to like really let the message of the movie in that regard sit with you when you really think about like what Waylon represents, you know, because like we can go, oh, he's a Mr. Burns type villain, like that'll never be any of us. But the truth is, like, we are doing the Waylon thing in some way or another every day in our lives. We are taking something for granted in pursuit of what we think we want. And it's simultaneously what makes us great and suck. And it's like such a messy, fascinating thing to look at. And I love that I love that in this movie as a think piece. What about you, Joe?
Yeah. That was well said. I think that I would agree with you. That's a huge piece of it. I did want to just kind of give some, I guess, lip service to the creation and meeting the creators element of it. I know that's like a huge part of the horror of it and like the kind of the crux of the plot and like what set everything moving. But I think like when you add the element of like David and his interactions with humans, his actual interactions with Waylon and Vickers, even like those like different tiers of like creation and creator or creators and creations is really fascinating. And I think I want to think about that in like particular with the creature that end up inside of Shaw, right? So she does have a scene where she says, I can't have kids. What does that say about me? Or I can't have children or make a person. What does that say about me? And that's a really small scene, but a really like touching scene, I think, and a really like revealing scene about her and kind of things that drive her. But there's a deleted scene that it's revealed that Shaw's mother died during childbirth. And I think that gives just a stronger weight. I was talking about this with Nicole,
She was gonna have
Whyfenstein.
two dead parents.
Yeah, well, I think the mom's not there, but we were talking about this, and she was kind of saying like this. That feels like a scene that gives so much more weight to the horror that she feels when she finds out she's pregnant from Davis, who's like just like, oh, you're pregnant, hey, and she's just like disturbed, you know, like for multiple
That's what's
reasons.
crazy is like in a franchise filled with disturbing, for lack of a better word, inseminations.
Mhm.
That is one of the worst.
Mhm.
To fully incubate one of these things, not even just have it like nest in you like a dead animal.
Yeah, but right, but like that, I mean, even just like the first like word of like you're pregnant like is horrifying to her before she even knows more about what's happening. Like, and I think that adds so much weight to it. But like that's just like another like cog in that piece of like creators, what, you know, making something or making somebody. That's just so fascinating, and like how they flip that and just make it such a horrifying thing or like such a messy thing.
Well, yeah,
So
like that clinical,
yeah.
like just like disgusting feeling of it all, like the
Mhm.
just like the violation, how the complete lack of bedside manner that Fassbender's David
Oh yeah.
is
Oh, yeah.
offering too. You
Yeah,
know?
he sucked.
Like literally the last thing he says as she's about to pass out from like anti whatevers that he gave her is, I watched your dreams.
Right. So creepy. So
That is
creepy.
the last thing she heard before losing consciousness.
Definitely motivates her to like wake up and like go hard though, I think.
And it's just like, yeah, man, that's the Ridley Scott effect though. Like there's like so many things happening in that scene and they all like work and build off each other so brilliantly. It's saying so much and it's doing it with like the right amount of like force.
Yeah. And I just feel like we'd be remiss if we didn't mention the med pod scene for her. Like, oh God, like it's so disturbing and terrifying in just so many levels. Like
My notes for
well
this
done for as an actor though.
my notes for this watch through, like it's literally like 3 or 4 like thoughts and then like that was a cool scene. That was a cool scene.
That was a cool
Iconic scene. Oh my God. What? Face melting. Like I just kept saying the same thing over and over again because like that's just like how when you're actively paying attention to this movie, like scene after scene and like appreciating what he's trying to do, you're just like, Sorry,
I'm wondering.
I am not an eloquent person.
I'm wondering if this is like your his favorite movie in the franchise. This is your favorite movie in general, almost.
Ooh, it's definitely the
Fair.
movie that's like energized me a lot more than most recently, which was like that was a fun surprise. But
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm ready to say my favorite movie of all time, but
Yeah.
I am very, very excited to do a Ridley Scott deep dive with like this newfound appreciation,
Mhm.
like see the
Oh, yeah.
stuff I have seen before, rewatch it, and like the other stuff I haven't seen yet.
Mhm.
So yeah.
Yeah. Also, I don't even think we mentioned Idris Elba is in this movie.
This cast is so stacked. They're all so great. But
Yeah.
I'm gonna say it, like he might take the L, even though even though he contributes a lot in terms of like greatness in the movie, he might
Mhm.
take the L for that accent choice.
Oh, the accent was weird. I do think his character was really good, though.
It's like a Cockney Southerner. Like
Yeah.
that's what I clocked it as.
Yeah.
Like
His like British accent peeked through quite a bit. It was very funny.
it was all over the place.
Yeah. But I did like his character, like like when she's like, when he confronts Shaw at the end and she's like, don't you want to know what they say? And he's like, I don't care. Like, that was great.
No, yeah, I love that. And I love that we got back to like the kind of like blue collar aesthetic that Ridley
Mhm.
Scott introduced with the first Alien of like somehow there are these people on like these like multi-million-dollar vessels that have like signed over seemingly like centuries to decades of their life to space travel that like are just like I'm just here for a check,
Yeah. Yeah.
That was the joke I made when Zombie Fifield came back. I was like, "Oh yeah, he really wants his commission." He's like hey, ain't nothing in my contract say that I can't get acid in the face. You guys, I know this is a dead on Fifield. I know it
It's
is.
perfect. It's perfect.
Thank
Yeah.
you. But yeah, but like he's just like, I don't acid or no, you guys are paying my commish.
Can we talk about the bonus situation?
Yeah. Are you asking me?
No, that's just a quote from the first one.
That's what he would say.
That's the Yaphet Kotto, remember? Can we talk about the bonus?
Oh, yeah. So that
Yeah.
was like a nice throwback to that, like that type of character.
Oh, for sure, yeah. And young Benedict Wong too was one of his little buddy there.
I mean, this is a very
great
like
cast.
stacked hot cast. Like, I'm sorry to the original Alien cast. Young Sigourney, you are swinging way above your weight class here, and even still, they got you beat.
Speaking of, should we monster it up?
Let's monster.
All right. So I got a breakdown of 4 creatures here. I want to first kind of say there was a whole lot of creature designers and effects groups working here. MPC, Weta Digital, Charlie Henley, Neville Page, Carlos Fuente. These are names that we've talked about before in other podcasts. They're all working here. They, for the alien planet, the creatures and the tech, Scott asked the design team to look for something that could logically come before Alien, not to rely too heavily on Geiger's original like designs. However, they all the drawings and concept art end up coming back to like Geiger-esque type stuff, to the point where they ultimately just decided to invite Geiger to come back and actually work on the film. So he comes back and he does a lot of the designs. Like we actually see, I feel like the murals are very Geiger-esque, and I think he had a big hand in those. When we see the alien xenomorph mural on the wall, I think that, I'm honestly, like as a canon thing, I think that's a point to like what I think some of us have talked about, how the aliens are a lot older and they weren't just suddenly created recently by David or something in the future movies, but like that's something like a template that he's been following. I think that they've had him before. Anyway, that's something you could argue in a different thing, but yeah. So anyway, this was the final Alien film that Geiger did work on because he died in 2014, sadly.
Aww.
Yeah, but I thought that was kind of interesting. He came back to work on this.
It's
Anyway,
really felt in a lot of the design.
I think it really is.
The,
I think
the
it's
helmets,
cool.
the engineer helmets, like that's super Geiger. And
that's like that's in the original film too, like that.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's just, I am such a fan of that guy's like RIP to a legend in terms of like such a like distinct, like cool, like world, like it's right up there with like Hellraiser for me of like a very like branded like vibe or look or aesthetic. Like even Tim Burton would fall under that, where it's like you can like really just like carve out a niche for yourself with a look.
Yeah, it's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
All right. Monster creature number 1 that I kind of want to talk about is the hammerpede, which is the like mutated worm creature. There are kind of some indigenous worms that were mutated by the
goo.
The goo. Yeah, they have kind of like white gray, like translucent skin, kind of like that. They're kind of cobra like when they're able to open up their heads with the crest. Original script, there are more like centipedes. Apparently, changed it up a little bit. The Hammerpede was meant to be a bit of a precursor to the Facehugger in a sense. Has acidic blood. The behind the scenes element of it, so they're pretty much primarily practical effects with just some digital components added in. There were several layers that they created with it, from like an external skin to the organs and the muscles. Each layer was actually sculpted and molded separately and assembled onto a final model, which had some mechanical features. They actually made 15 total models of these creatures, each with different purposes. There was one that was a cable controlled model with a full head movement, which could open and close the crest. There was a puppet that would wrap around Milburn's arm. Another one that was meant to snap a prosthetic arm. But these puppets like had cable operations. They had like segments there to make like vertebrae like segments to make the movements more fluid. It's again, like we talk about, just like a marvel to watch, like how they brought this to life practically. Another cool piece of this, so when they find Milburn's dead body after the Hammerpede had killed them, when the crew goes back to recover the body, the Hammerpede like springs out and goes back in the liquid. Remember that part?
Yeah.
That's another callback to the original Alien, where Ridley Scott didn't actually tell the actors that was going to happen.
Oh, he's a little prankster.
Yeah, so one of the actors, Kate Dickey, who was one of the doctors, she has like a really intense scream, which is actually entirely genuine.
Nice.
It's pretty great, yeah.
Nah, if I ever worked on a Ridley Scott movie, I'd take it aside, like, Ridley, don't play with me, Ridley. Like,
don't play with me.
If you're pulling some stuff, like it could be like a historical movie. Like, no, there couldn't be any monsters in it, and I'd still be like, Ridley, don't play. Is there a monster here? Is something gonna pop out, Ridley?
He'd be working harder to get you.
Yeah, that's my impression of guy who doesn't want Ridley to scare him.
Sounds about right. Fair.
Yeah.
Creature number 2, the Trilobite, which is the creature that emerged from Shaw's body. Originally created after Holloway was infected with the dark liquid, and then having sex with Shaw, which infected her too. It is a little more Facehugger-esque. Has kind of the purpose of impregnating a host with an alien creature, as we see in the end, even though it got super big. First kind of looks like a four-armed squid, but ended up growing pretty large. I think it ended up having 7 tentacles by the end.
It looked like that thing in the Force Awakens.
Yeah, the thing that chases them on that ship in the first one. Yeah.
Han's ship.
Yeah, that's right. It did kind of like just some massive tentacles, right?
Yeah, but it's just really, it's kind of like a testament to, like, there were times in this movie where, like, it did go just full on space adventure. It
really did.
Like,
yeah.
You want a little bit of Guardians? This is how Ridley does it. And like, we got like laser blasts and stuff, and like a giant squid monster on a ship. Like, we still got a lot of that like popcorn stuff on top of just quality cinema.
For sure. So this creature has like this pale skin. It was actually inspired by like organisms that are preserved in formaldehyde, was kind of what they went off to build this one. When they had the like med bay scene or whatever, they had to make a fake silicone body of Nomi Rapace from shoulders down, and the small creature was an animatronic that was wrapped in a condom filled with fake blood. One of the crew members had to puncture the condom with a razor, and this caused the sack to explode violently.
They had to?
Yeah, they
had to puncture it?
Had to.
Got it. That's gross.
Yeah. The designers were influenced. That is kind of a cool fact, I think. There's a comic in 1975 called The Long Tomorrow that Dan O'Bannon, the original writer of first Alien movie, wrote. And there's a creature that looks like this. And so they inspired the design. They based the design based on that creature in that comic, which is kind of fun.
Oh, that is fun.
Yeah.
I like that creature.
I do too. And the design was actually done by Neville Page, who we've talked about before. He did like the work on Star Trek Discovery and a bunch of other stuff. And they end up building a full-size animatronic with like this complex head for the giant one. But they end up going mostly with the CGI iteration for the final film, just for like movement's sake. So there was both there, but they mostly stuck with CGI in the final product. I do have a cool quote from Neville Page about creating this, though. You want to hear it?
No. Yeah, of course.
Of course. He says, quote, we weren't going to do the face hugger and we weren't going to do any kind of metaphor to the first film, but at the same time, this trilobite creature became like the uber metaphor of the face hugger in a way, because it's very tentacular and in the same way somewhat sexual. And honestly, when I was done with the quote face of it, if it even has one, and it has the most vulvas that I've ever put into his design. It was a celebration of vulvas, really, which seemed appropriate.
I'm just imagining like Ridley Scott like looking over like drafts of this like more vulvas.
I'm sure that's how it happened.
Exactly. Yeah. He's like, these vulva numbers are not doing it for me, Chief.
Yeah.
Wow. That's fun.
Okay, I forgot to mention, I said 4 monsters. There's like I'm going to say a 0.5 extra monster that I forgot to mention. The 5-field mutant, the zombie guy that comes back.
Oh, zombie guy.
Yeah, so this was interesting. This is 5-field, that character affected by black goo. This is what I wanted to say about it. Was originally going to be a more monstrous character. So the actor plays the role, like the actor is in makeup, and they were going to go over that with CGI and give him like this kind of like elongated head, like monstrous head, which was a little bit evocative of older xenomorph designs. So they kind of thought about it like almost like reverting to it like a embryonic form, and they called it the baby head design to it. So it's actually you could look up pictures, like the deleted scenes I think has the original version in it, like they made it, but Ridley Scott decided that he'd rather use the more like practical like element of just the actor and the stunt person like in prosthetics and in makeup to do this kind of zombie thing. But I think if you look it up or Google like the original 5-field mutant, it's interesting. It's a very interesting monster design.
I mean, the zombie thing we got was really cool. Like,
I like how it was all folded up before they like stands up.
Yeah, like everything about it was like so great, and it just felt like such a like real fun like dive into the horror side of things, and just I mean it speaks to like one of the big criticisms I had of Resurrection, which is that like a lot of the stuff they were going through felt like just like, well, another Wednesday on the job as a space pirate or like as an employee on a ship full of like ethically questionable like surgeons or whatever, it's like scientists. With these people, it's like, no, this is all novel. This is all horrifying. And like, it's literally the mission they're on will make them like rethink the concept of God, let alone the stuff they actually find. It's great stuff to like watch them confront that and like the horrors that come with it.
Yeah. Oh, I agree. Yeah. There's so many interesting layers of things here. Next like creature we have, I'd say, is arguably another interesting layer. The Deacon alien. They called it the Deacon, the alien that pops out of the engineer's chest at the very end. Kind of a proto xenomorph, if you will. They called it a Deacon ultimately because the head, the cone head, they kind of felt it looked like a Catholic bishop or like a deacon.
Oh,
so that's why. So other more religious undertones, but so this creature is definitely very different from like the traditional kind of xenomorph that we know and love.
Sportier.
It's sporty. Yeah, it's a trilobite infecting an engineer, so different like mechanics at hand. But
it's like a Dodge Charger.
Okay. It threw me off a bit there, but yeah, I can see it.
Just keeping you on your toes.
Yeah. Anyway, the creature has like more blue, like smooth skin. Like, I feel like it stands a little differently. The mouth isn't like the jaw that just like comes out. It has like 2 sets of rows of teeth that are very gummy.
It had like human teeth.
Yeah, it was.
It's like square teeth. It's not even like it's like to like pierce flesh or anything. Like this xenomorph could eat a salad.
It was gross, yeah. So this creature, the design, they made it to a full-size sculpture, which served as a base, and there were puppets, and they also used a digital model. The creature's birth sequence, they used a hollow dummy of the dead engineer and filled with internal organs, and then the puppet of the Deacon used a rod puppet to like push it out, kind of similar to the original effect in the first Alien, actually. This creature was originally supposed to have more of a presence. So like there was a plans to originally have it pop out and then have to like chase Shaw and David as they made their way to the extra ship they were going to go to.
I like
But
Mandela affected myself into assuming that was gonna come next.
I feel like everybody thinks it has more of a presence than it does. Like it's
Yeah.
a cool scene, but it almost feels like just like an Easter egg, almost just like bonus, like nod rather than anything else, you know?
It goes nowhere. Spoilers for Covenant. It goes nowhere.
Oh no, yeah, we'd never see it again. It's actually interesting, like fun fact about the extended universe stuff, that those comics that I'd mentioned that follow up Prometheus, they actually were told, I think by Fox, not to use the Deacon alien in the comics because they're worried that it might interfere with something Ridley Scott was going to do in Covenant. So it's nowhere.
It could have had a second life, but no.
Yeah. Anyway,
I'm fine with the
I don't know.
the Dodge Charger xenomorph.
I think it's fine. I mean, it's like a weird, unique circumstance, arguably, that just is like this creature and the engineer like meeting create that thing. So it's fine. Like you don't see it again, I guess.
Yeah, it was a fun meet cute.
Yeah, exactly. Meet cute. I like that. And then, so finally, our last kind of creature that we're going to talk about is going to lead us into, I think, our closing out of our conversation and into our interview. It's the engineer itself.
Love the engineer.
The engineer, our boy Ian Whyte, who we're talking to here, portrays the engineer. There are other actors that play different engineers at different parts, but the ending climax is all him. And there's some interesting insights he brings to like getting into the character and the makeup. So I won't get too much into that stuff, but the interesting thing about the engineer, so they're, just for descriptive purposes, they're very tall, extremely pale, hairless, like humanoid figures.
They look like that hot Squidward meme.
Yeah, fair.
Joe knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah, just Google it. For decades there was speculation of what the space jockey creature was that had a chest burster burst out of it in the very first Alien, this giant thing. Nothing. It was all speculation. Comics and books would go into it. There was multiple different ideas and canons. And so Ridley Scott himself, I've got a quote for him where he says, I kept staring at the skeleton, which was kind of a wonderful drawing by Geiger. And then I thought 26 years on, I thought, what if it's not a skeleton? Because we only see it as a skeleton because of our own, the way we see things in our own indoctrination. What if it's another form of protection or a suit? If it's a suit, then what's inside the suit? So his thoughts on like this creature, which, had this like elephant trunk and like this Geiger-esque design, everyone thought that was the look of the creature. And Ridley had this idea like, what if that's just like a suit and it's just not something we would comprehend to be a suit and there's something else inside of it, which is kind of like where his ideas for what the engineers like ultimately became and how he was able to interrogate the series that way. So that was a very controversial decision. Like a lot of fans were pissed because they had their own headcanons, their own thoughts. They thought of this thing as like eldritch horror, like weird otherworldly kind of creature, and then now it's like fairly intrinsically tied to humanity, right? It's like evocative of like a godlike kind of
humanity in like a good way, though. The whole
I'm with you, Khalid. I think it's good. I'm just saying that was a very controversial thing at the time. Like some people really still don't like what they did, and I think ultimately it's fine. Like I like where the engineers have gone in the franchise. I'm interested to learn more about them. And I think that was the way that it upped the horror, like this idea of our creator and like them not caring for us, like was a way to like go further with this horror element of it. So,
and I think it's just a lot to ask for like a franchise to simultaneously create like the mind bending, like amazingness that is the Xenomorphs and also another mind bending, like creature design. It's just like, how many like once in a lifetime designs are we going to ask of these people?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
One other piece I wanted to talk about the engineer before we let our conversation with Ian happen. But in the early draft of the script, there was dialogue between this engineer and David that was like nearly 5 pages long. And it was revealed, they talk about the engineers creating the human race. And there's parts where the engineer was supposed to say that something about the humans were barbaric, violent species. And he mentions a mother's child being taken back to be taught the meaning of life and creation or to educate the human race on Earth. But the humans decided to punish him, which is hints that like Jesus was meant to be like some sort of like engineer envoy. And then the death was like, what was a disappointment.
I was not expecting that to be.
That was supposed to be a Jesus thing. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. What do you think of that?
I don't know, man. That was like year zero. Give us like a couple years to figure stuff out.
Right. So anyway, that was
That's
cut.
not really fair.
Yeah, that was an idea. Yeah.
I don't know. I think that's really funny because like we're famously in our Jesus year right now. And that's just I don't know, like the idea of like a bunch of aliens like plucking a 33-year-old dude off the earth to like defend humanity. It couldn't be me.
Yeah. All right.
And that's my take.
And that's Khalid's take. Khalid's corner.
Oh man, that was fun though. That was
Yeah.
I did love the shout out. Like even if we hadn't talked to Ian, like the engineers were like some of my favorite like lore in this franchise to date. It's such a cool concept. I love everything with their technology. The soft boiled egg buttons.
Yeah. Oh, that was cool. Yeah.
That like how those work.
The holograms.
The ship design, the holograms that are like ghosts. Like they
That was
just have
cool.
ghost holograms. That's so cool because it's like who's recording that, and then like who's like decides like oh now's a good time to play the ghost hologram. Like I doubt like everybody was like running and like quick. Let's make sure we get this hallway. Like it's and I love it. It's like they don't explain it. It's obviously like a contrivance to give us a cool visualization of what happened, but it works, and it's like
great.
It's cool like little bits of detail that don't give us too much of this species and like doesn't ruin it for us.
Yeah. No, it's great. I think, yeah. I mean, I like the movie quite a bit. I think you're selling me even more on it a little bit, and like rewatchability and the value of that, and like just the value it brings to the franchise. It's a cool thing, and really, I mean, it's a special movie. Like we talked about, it's a very unique entry into a franchise entry. Like you don't see things like this a lot, and it's super cool. But anyway, yeah, Khalid, we should wrap it up and hop over to our interview, huh?
Hop. Let's do it.
Yeah. So before we go, though, just one quick announcement. Since we had that long break between our Xenomania 3 and 4 episodes, I'm gonna spoil you all listeners a little bit. We're gonna have this one come out on whatever day you're listening to it. The Covenant episode will be 1 week after this episode, so we're gonna instead of the bi-weekly or the every other week, we're gonna release it earlier to get it to you guys sooner. So look for our Covenant episode coming real soon as well. It's another fun one.
More episodes because we love you.
Yeah, and Xenomania will go on beyond Covenant, and I'll leave it at that.
Wait, what will you leave it on?
Xenomania episodes will go beyond our Covenant one. So,
okay, kind of like little intrigue. Okay,
little intrigue.
Yeah, cool. Yeah,
thanks for playing that with me, Khalid.
What he said.
Yeah. Wow.
Sorry, Joe. I really derailed it.
Good recovery. No, it wasn't.
No, it wasn't. I took the wind right out those sails.
Yeah.
Sorry, buddy. Let's go talk to Ian.
All right, stay tuned and listen to our interview with Mr. Ian Whyte.
Creep you shortly.
All right, Ian Whyte, thank you so much for joining us on the podcast. I know it's been a journey to get you here, and so we appreciate your time.
Oh, well, thank you very much for inviting me.
Before we kind of dig into some specifics of your like career, I have just like a few kind of questions I tend to ask all of our guests on the podcast. One of the things I'm kind of intrigued for your answer here, since you're kind of a creature actor or like a monster actor. I always like to ask, we're monster podcasts, like in any kind of corner of pop culture or like movies, shows, or anything like that. Do you have a favorite monster that you've seen, or perhaps it's one that you've played?
My favorite monster is probably Count Dracula.
Ooh, good choice.
I grew up watching, the classic Hammer horror films. My next door neighbor was one of the first guys on the street to have a VHS video recorder, and he used to record Hammer horror movies late at night. I used to go around his house to watch them against my parents' wishes.
Oh, that's awesome. Do you have a favorite iteration of Dracula, or actor that's played?
Christopher Lee.
Yeah. That's a good
And
choice.
also, and also Klaus Kinski, Werner Herzog's Nosferatu die Vampire is probably still my favorite Dracula film. It is chilling even now, and it's what, 50 years old.
Yeah, that's a good. He's a fascinating actor. Yeah, that's a good choice. I gotta ask, did you see the new one? Was it Renfield with Nicolas Cage as Dracula?
No, I did not.
I haven't seen that yet either, but I want to. I know he's trying to channel those actors too.
Right.
I have seen it. It's very, very ridiculous, but Cage's Dracula is very fun to behold.
Good. Nicolas Cage is fun to behold no matter what he does.
Truly, we are in agreement.
Yeah.
My other question for you that I tend to ask all our guests is, we all kind of consider ourselves geeks on this podcast, or have things that we're really geeky about. Like, what do you think you find yourself to be most geeky about? Like, what are you like, oh, I could just really like go down a rabbit hole on this one thing?
I don't know. I spend so much of my time doing other things. I kind of tend to forget about geekiness. There was a topical conversation. The new Indiana Jones movie, which I have not seen, and quite often, not just now, but quite often, you see polls on social media say, "Oh, which is the best Indiana Jones movie?" And my opinion, the best Indiana Jones movie isn't called an Indiana Jones movie. And that is the mic drop moment. Indiana Jones is, of course, Raiders of the Lost Ark, if you're not keeping up. But no, I find it very difficult to descend down rabbit holes about anything, because they'll be like, oh, I need to do this, or I need to do that, or I need to do something else, and various other distractions in life.
Oh, completely understandable. Yeah. I guess
and I will actually come up with a better answer probably further down the podcast. Just and that's also how my mind works. I'll be like, oh, remember that question you asked me 45 minutes ago? Here's the answer.
What's life without a few distractions, right?
Exactly. I suppose. All right, yeah. Let's get into it then. Khalid, I think you got the first question on our list.
Yeah, I do. Ian, thank you again for joining us. This is such an exciting discussion. I guess for my first question out the gate, I wanted to ask, you've had the opportunity to be a part of like some really great franchises. You've aside from obviously the Alien Predator universe, which is what we got you here to talk about. You've also been in Star Wars, Andor and The Force Awakens, Harry Potter, Game of Thrones, Robert Eggers' The Northman. I mean, I just have to ask off top, is there any role or franchise that you are particularly proud of, that like you had the chance to be a part of that world?
Read that list again.
Well, Joe is nice enough to compile the list for me, but we've got Star Wars, both Andor and The Force Awakens. We've got Harry Potter, Game of Thrones, and Robert Eggers' The Northman, to name a few. And that's not even including Aliens, Predator franchise.
Sure. I don't think Robert Eggers is The Northman is going to be a continuing franchise. It would be amazing.
Not a lot of lunchboxes for that.
I think when all these things, all these magnificent franchises, they really were pinch me moments, and it's really. It's fun to hang on to your gratitude and your enjoyment of these things. I've got a son who's 12 years old, and I've watched him enjoy these movies. The Harry Potter films, the Star Wars movies, etc., etc. And I'm not the only one. There are parents all over the world who are right now sitting their children down in front of either a Harry Potter movie or a Star Wars film or something else, and kids are going, wow, what is this? Show me more. And there's the beauty of these amazing franchises, because they find a new audience every single year, with every passing generation. And it's a joy to be a part of. It really is. If I have to pick just one, if you're putting a gun to my head, I think the Harry Potter, when the ones that I did, Goblet of Fire. That was the film where the ages of the actors started to align very, very closely with the ages of the characters that they were playing, and of course, that's where the fun began. Because we had these the visiting schools, the Beauxbatons. They were all magnificent dancers from the West End. The Durmstrangs. They were all these magnificent martial artists from literally all over the world. And we had schools that were coming in. That were playing the children from Hogwarts, and it was just an amazing, fun experience from beginning to end. Star Wars, when the phone call came through for to be involved in Star Wars, it's just like, okay, where do you want me? Where do you want me when? Say the word. And it's gonna run and run. We'll all be long gone by the time they've exhausted, the Star Wars franchise. It'll just keep going. To say you've been a part of something that's so big it does still put a smile on my face. I have to be honest.
I mean, yeah, these are like cultural landmarks at this point that you get to say that you're a part of. That's got to feel really great.
It's a tiny part, but it does put a smile on my face. So it's nice to do unique things. It really is.
That's so nice to hear. Kind of on the other side of that coin, are there any I looking at your IMDb page, you have quite a few credits, but is there any parts that you're not part of a franchise or a smaller role that you kind of wish more people had seen, or you'd like to talk about more sometimes?
Yeah. Oh my God, there was a movie, a fantasy film I did many years ago called Solomon Kane, which was based on a writing of Robert E. Howard. And I read this when I was a kid. And when I found out that it was going to production, I got in touch with the director. And I said, I'd really like to be part of the movie. If there's any kind of, monsters that you would like to bring to life, please get in touch.
That's awesome.
I'm in the film.
It's awesome that it worked out there. I've actually seen Solomon Kane. I went through a kick where I was really into 80s fantasy. I got into Conan films, and I found Solomon Kane through that rabbit hole, and I was like, oh, this is phenomenal. It's like those old classic movies with modern effects. It was a lot of fun.
It's got a fantastic cast, and it's a great story. And and what's the point I was going to make? And yeah, it was. I've often referred to it as the best fantasy movie nobody's ever seen, because it's got a very limited cinematic release, and it's one of those movies which has just has developed a small cult following.
Yeah.
Well, it should have been something a lot bigger.
Agreed. Well, hearing you talk about it, maybe if some people on the podcast, just a few more people hear about it, maybe it'll get a little bit more love here.
All right, bringing it back into a little bit more of the popular discourse of some of your more popular works, Game of Thrones. I'm a huge Game of Thrones fan, so I do have to ask, you've played a few roles. You played the Mountain for a little bit. You played a giant named 1-1, which was one of my faves, and you've played a White Walker. I gotta ask, out of those roles, was there one that you enjoyed more than the others? Can you walk us through what it was like coming back each time in such different contexts?
Well, my favorite character was 1-1. Absolutely. He was it was the very first time that we'd seen one of these aloof, semi-savage characters display anything approaching, humanity. And I think that's the beauty of the storytelling, that they gave this character that opportunity to have this story, be the hero of his own story. And I was watching it. I was watching the show. the episode when he dies, and my wife nudged me on the sofa and she said, "Have you seen your Twitter page?" And
Aw.
people were sending me messages saying that they were in tears because I died, and I had absolutely no idea, none at all, about how
Wow.
popular he was. So thank you, everybody.
That's got to be a nice feeling, knowing that like you had like a small character, but it's still like made an impact like it did.
Yeah, I think every death in Game of Thrones has made an impact in some way or another. Again, watching Game of Thrones was with my wife. It took us 4 years to get into Game of Thrones, actually, because it corresponded with the birth of our son, and so I always joked that the reason why it took me so long to get involved in watching Game of Thrones was because it wasn't on children's television.
I get that.
Yeah. And we were watching the very first episode, and I had read some of the stories, not all of them. And we were watching the very first episode, and Stark is kneeling in front of the chopping block, and he's laying his head down, and the sword is about to come down, and I'm looking at my wife, and I'm looking at the TV show, and looking at my wife, looking at my TV show, and looking at my wife, and the scream from her when the sword came down was unbelievable. It was like, you knew about that, and you didn't tell me. It would have ruined the whole thing.
And okay, so one's your favorite. Can you tell us a little bit about like at least like playing like a White Walker? Was it like just more involved in terms of like the makeup that you had to sit in for, or how did that compare to just like coming in and playing someone like one, which is still a little closer to like just like regular human features?
Well, the White Walker that I played in episode 1, series 1, episode 1, very little makeup effects. It was a pull-on mask. They hadn't developed the characters as much as they became to be developed throughout the whole tale. So it was just a very rudimentary skin-tight bodysuit, a pull-on mask, and we were running through snow-covered forest at the end of summer in around Belfast. And it was the second beheading of the show, if memory serves me correctly. So if you hadn't read anything about Game of Thrones or weren't familiar with it, then that would give you some idea of what to expect going down the line. Because 5 minutes into the show, 2 people have already lost their heads. And then series 2, I stepped into the shoes of the Mountain very briefly, a few episodes there. And it wasn't until series 3 that I started playing the Giants. And it was by then that they were now bringing in the heavy makeup effect for not only the Giants, but for the White Walker and many other characters.
Is there a specific draw to playing like the kind of like creature monster characters for you? Has there been any part of you that wants to play more human characters?
Yes, I'd love to play more human characters. The draw to playing these, shall we say, non-human characters is the uniqueness of it all.
Mm-hmm.
If I have to put it into a nutshell, it's doing something that is completely unique and totally memorable.
I agree. I think that's why we love talking about monsters and creatures and the non-human elements on our podcast so much. It's a draw for us too.
But my approach to non-human characters and human characters is usually exactly the same. You've still got to get into their heads and understand how they're thinking, understand how they live their lives.
Yeah.
So, A thing about doing this monster podcast with Joe for as long as I've done it now is that even though he's kind of more familiar with the world of like creature effects and like performers and stuff like that, it's only just now starting to be familiar with me where I start to see names coming up again all the time. Like Doug Jones is a common name that has come up as far as performers that work with creature effects. And I guess I'm just curious, as somebody that has like made a career out of it like yourself, is there a community for performers like yourselves that like do you guys know each other outside of the work you do, and like do you like lean on each other? Is there any kind of network there for yourself?
I if we want it to be, I mean, I know Doug Jones, not to call him up and say, "Hi, Doug, how's it going? Good weekend?" But no, I know who he is, and very infrequently our paths cross.
I suppose that makes sense. I mean, more often than not, you guys are probably like going for the same characters, or at least like if there is one creature in a movie, it's like you're all going for it. So you wouldn't necessarily be like on set together.
To be honest, there's room for us all within the industry. There really is.
That's nice. That's nice. Not
Good to hear.
it's not a fierce competition or anything.
No, there's no fierce competition.
Starting to dig in a little bit to the Alien franchise, since that's kind of been our topic lately. I was intrigued by kind of your story, like coming. It sounds like you were a basketball player for many years before, and then you were kind of brought into the acting world through Alien versus Predator. So one, if not your actually first acting role, is the Predator. Is that correct?
That is absolutely correct.
I'm just so curious, like, was it exciting, daunting, a little bit of both for like kind of an iconic creature to be like your first big role?
Yeah, it was absolutely terrifying. Yeah, I was very aware of the weight of responsibility on my shoulders. It had been 10 years since Predator 2. And this was the first time we were going to see the Alien and the Predator in the same film. So yeah, it was a big responsibility, and I was very, very adamant and honest with myself that I needed to do a good job. So I trained physically and went through the movies frame by frame, trying to extrapolate nuances of performance that the Predator, the previous Predator characters displayed, things that I could use in my own performance. And I had some great mentors, Tom Woodruff and Alec Gillis, the creature designers. They were so instrumental in how good this film is, in how good my performance was, because they'd been there and they'd done it. And Tom Woodruff is a performer in his own right. He's the alien. So to have those guys on set every day, was invaluable. Somebody like I say, listen, am I doing this right? What would work in this situation? Because Kevin Beard Hall couldn't be there. I couldn't bore him every single day with my questions about how to perform the Predator. But having these guys there, Oscar-winning creature effect designers was just an amazing experience.
And did that change? I know you played it in you played the alien in both Alien versus Predators, right? So
I played the Predator in both Alien versus Predator movies.
Or sorry, yes, the Predator. But you played what were the names again? It was Scar and what was the other name again, Joe? Sorry.
I think it's Wolf, right? Yeah,
Wolf.
Yes.
Yeah. So in playing Scar and Wolf, like going from one movie to the next, like did anything change, or did you like evolve on the role in any way?
Well, yeah, they're completely different characters. If you cast your mind back, they both die at the end of the films. The what's his name? Scar. I wanted you go mad trying to figure out how an alien thinks. Okay, how an alien communicates with itself. But I'm a human, so I know how humans think. At least I know how I think. Okay, so I would like to put these characters into a human context. I like to humanize them. By humanize them, I don't mean make them cuddly, but put them into a human context. So the predators in AVP, they are warriors. At least I imagine them to be warriors. Warriors exist. So now I'm thinking about what it takes to be a warrior. Okay, I've studied martial arts. I understand it from that perspective. But so now I'm thinking about how a kind of a society, a warrior caste of a society might treat their young warriors when they're going to have some kind of rite of passage, so to speak, which is basically the storyline of AVP. So now I'm thinking about that kind of thought process and that kind of life that they've had up until this point.
Fascinating.
And the wolf, I approached the wolf. It was called the Wolf because he was supposed to be based on Harvey Keitel's character in Pulp Fiction. Winston
I had no idea. That's so cool.
Yeah, he's the cleaner. He comes in to clean up the mess. And as a result, he also leaves a trail of bodies in his wake. So, I wanted him to be, this kind of not so much short-tempered, but very worldly, universally experienced character. He's got grizzled facial features, a missing tusk, probably as a result of a battle with a previous alien. So now I've got that experience to put into his story.
I like that.
Which
I think...
again makes it a more believable character.
Yeah, no, I like that. I think more creatures should be based after Harvey Keitel characters. that just seems like such an easy dot to connect.
That is great. Jumping over to your role in Prometheus. So you did the Predator there. You play the engineer in Prometheus, or one of the engineers that we see. So for me, I've always found this character, the kind of creature, to be fascinating because there's such the makeup, the prosthetics are so cool and kind of realistic and really, I think, unique. What was kind of the process of getting into all of that?
Up at 2:30 every morning. Luckily, I was staying at a hotel just around the corner from Firebrand Studios, so it was a 5-minute journey straight into the makeup chair. 5.5 hours of prosthetics and costuming, ready to go by about 8:30, 9 o'clock.
Wow!
And Conor O'Sullivan and his team, they worked absolute magic to recreate perfection every single day for months. They are artists and geniuses. They really, really are. And it was such an amazing character. For a while, I heard that a lot of people thought it was CGI because it looked so perfect.
That's got to be a nice compliment.
Yes.
Were there any scenes in Prometheus that were like pretty fun for you to perform, or conversely, were there any that were just like a challenge, like you just like were like dreading it, or like you were just glad it was over with?
I think that's the hardest scene was hopping up into the the flight chair, the engineer's flight chair, because there were no actual steps going up into it. So I had to kind of make steps out of the, C steps within the design of the piece of the set piece. And I forget how many times we did it. It was only a couple, but I managed to get it. I managed to create a way to get into this thing without actually looking like a complete arse.
One of the things I thought was kind of interesting about Prometheus, I was reading that there was like a linguist on hand to help with the language the engineer had to speak. Did you?
He's in the film.
Oh, he's in the film?
I forget his name. Oops, sorry, just knocked my tripod. Yeah, he's in the film. Right at the beginning of the movie, there's a scene where David, Michael Fassbender's character, is learning the language, learning the alien language. There's a hologram of his linguist.
Oh,
who's teaching him. He is the learned professor who designed the alien language.
Man, that's really cool. That's super cool.
I met him. I had a very short meeting with him, a couple of hours, just to go through the finer points, the inflections and the clicks, etc., etc. But the first piece of dialogue they gave me to practice was a practice piece. And it was the monologue from Blade Runner translated into the alien speak. And as soon as I saw it, I burst into tears because, it has names in it that weren't translated, like 10 Hounds the Gate or sea beams. And as soon as I saw these things, I literally burst into tears. I went back to the producer and said, listen, can you just give me the actual speech that I'm going to do, the actual lines that I'm going to do in the script, because this is Blade Runner, and every time I read it in the voice of Rutger Hauer, and I cry. And they're like, yes, you've got a point there.
Wow. So I guess Blade Runner, Alien. How does it feel like to have worked with Ridley Scott? What was that like to finally get to be able to do that?
Wow, it was again one of those pinch me moments. He really was a genius and an artist and a gentleman. He's such a magnificent filmmaker, has such an amazing legacy, so much joy and wonder to the world through his filmmaking. It was an absolute joy to make Prometheus, to bring this, which was an idea in his head for 30 odd years before we brought it to the screen. Another one of those smile moments.
Something
I
special.
Get it.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
Yeah.
I believe you said that in past interviews you've been a fan of like the Alien Predator world, right?
Yes.
So with Prometheus, I know that there was a lot of expectations riding on Ridley Scott coming back to the franchise, and I know it was a surprise for fans, and I'm sure some people consider it controversial, but to find out like what the space jockey actually looked like, the engineer, that piece was a mask that they were wearing or a suit. As a fan, when you came into the role or you came into the script, and then you kind of learned that like before everybody else, right? Like this is what the engineer looks like. This is what the space jockey looked like underneath that mask that we see in the derelict ship in the first Alien film. Did you have like thoughts on that? Were you like, whoa, this is surprising, or oh, this is what it is, or are you just kind of like, it's Ridley Scott, I'm ready to roll with it?
Yeah, pretty much that. Yeah, I think if the film achieved anything, I think it achieved the impossible. It divided Ridley Scott fans from Alien fans.
Yeah,
and I think there's a scene. I think the most important scene in the movie is when we realize that he's not a god. When Wayland wants to meet, who has a god complex himself, wants to meet his maker before he dies, finds this character and assumes that he's a god. We are creators, you and I. We are gods. He's got more in common with he's got more in common with Idris Elba's character, the pilot of the spaceship, than anything else. That's what he is. He's a space pilot. He's not a god.
That's a good point. I hadn't even considered it in that way. I'd always considered it more in that like the engineers think of them as like animals or whatever. But if it's really more about like neither of us are gods, like I'm just a pilot. Like, that's actually really fascinating.
Yeah.
Okay, so you've played the Predator, you've played an engineer. Do you have any ambitions on like kind of getting the hat trick here and like playing a xenomorph one day?
No, I don't. I don't think that's going to happen.
I mean, you never say never. You know, you've got an impressive roster at this point.
It's very kind of you to say so. Yes, you're absolutely right. Never say never, but I don't think that's going to happen. I'm still kicking myself that I never got a chance to play the Master Chief in Halo.
Oh.
We had that movie ready to go, and it was cancelled.
Yeah, that's a bummer.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm glad it's happening for somebody else. It's a great story.
Yeah, that's fun. I'm actually currently watching through that show right now. I'm on like episode 8 or something. So it's interesting you bring that up. Yeah. I remember hearing the long fraught process of it trying to become a movie and getting canceled. That's a bummer.
I think 2006 we had it ready to go. And it was going to be shot. It was going to be produced by Wingnut Films. Peter Jackson.
That's right.
Was going to produce. And who was going to direct? It was going to be Neil Blomkamp.
That's right.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That time period with that team would have been something to behold.
Yeah, he's a great director.
Yeah,
for sure. He almost made an Alien movie too.
Yes, I heard that as well.
Yeah, that was kind of in the works for a while and then kind of got canceled. There's a lot of Neil Blomkamp. He's very like open about the projects that he's working on that kind of end up getting canceled too. I'm sure a lot of directors don't openly talk about that, but it's kind of a fascinating like peek behind the curtain in a sense. Yeah. Well, Ian, we won't take up too much more of your time. The last thing I kind of wanted to just ask before we wrap things up though is are there any projects that you're working on now or that you have upcoming that you're really excited that you want maybe people listening to be on the lookout for or to check out when they come out?
Yes. So I've got one project that I've just wrapped on, which I can't tell you a single thing about. But I can tell you about the project I worked on last year, which should be out later this year. It's called Year 2. It is a post-apocalyptic werewolf film starring Frank Grillo. Creature effects by Alec Gillis.
Yes.
And we shot that movie last summer, and hopefully it should be out later this year.
That sounds like I like Frank Grillo. He's a good like one of those sort of like action stars for those kinds of movies that you see. I'm a fan of his work lately, and that's super exciting to hear. A werewolf movie.
Yes, look this up because it's a werewolf movie. The script was amazing, and it has an important moral question at the heart of it, and that's all I'm going to tell you about it.
All right. Do you have a release date?
I don't, unfortunately. No.
All right. Well, we'll keep an eye out. We'll put a link to it in our notes here. Is there any, I guess, what would I say, socials or social media that you want to plug or tell anyone to find you on?
Well, I'm on social media. I'm on Twitter and I'm on Instagram. I don't do very much with it.
I get that. Yeah.
But look me up if you feel like it.
All right. Well, truly, thank you so much, Ian. This was really enlightening. We're like I said, we're watching through the Alien franchise, watching Prometheus. It's just like a complete privilege to be able to talk to somebody who was there on set to get that insight. So thank you so much for taking the time to sit down with us.
My absolute pleasure. Thank you.
Ian, thank you. Everything Joe said, I reflect 10 times. It was great talking to you. This is such a great discussion. Thank you.
Well, lovely talking to you guys.
Yeah. Again, yeah, thanks again. But yeah, yeah.
Yeah, we usually have a normal way we end these after like a discussion of like a movie or something like that. But I mean,
Okay.
should I just do that here too, Joe?
If you want to, Khalid.
All right. Well, thank you to everybody at home that listened. Again, thank you to Ian for coming on and talking with us. And until next time, creep it easy.